Good evening, everybody. Wait, sorry. We always do. It's good evening, good night, hello, good morning, just in case, covering all those time zones. If you are wondering, the setup looks a little different. You can see that there's only a little armchair today. Ben is away, and I am not. So I'm back, and I am going to be here tonight solo. And there's a couple of things that I wanted to that I want to talk about tonight. But if you are tuning in for the very first time, this is normally Ben and Declan on a roll. Tonight it's just me, or just Declan on a roll. And tonight I'm going to be talking about side quests. I'm going to be talking about the adventure when it goes off the tracks, whether that is because of downtime or the party have gone in a different direction and are looking for something else to do that isn't following that main story that you are developing as the dungeon master. So before we get into that, though, there are a couple of things that I just wanted to mention. The first one is, and if you are following D8 Dungeon on social media or you're following us on any of our if you're on our Discord or anything like that, then you might already have seen it. But we are in the process of organizing our annual tabletop role-playing game. That just rolls right off the tongue. Our tabletop role-playing game fundraiser, D8 Dungeon Drive. It's an annual event that we organize every summer. Myself and Amber and the D8 Dungeon crew, and with the help of some amazing dungeon masters and storytellers from all over the world, are coming together to put on 2.5 days or two and a bit days of a TTRPG fundraiser. And we are in the process of casting for those games. So if you are available the weekend of the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th of August, and you want to get involved in a charity fundraiser or a charity stream, then we are hoping to raise funds this year for the Palestine Children's Relief Fund, so the PCRF. We had a fundraiser for this organization just before Christmas, and it kind of only feels right to dedicate the summer event to this as well. So we are looking for players to join and to get involved. We're looking for people to volunteer. Maybe if you don't want to play, maybe you want to just volunteer. We are looking for people to get out and get out. We're looking for people to get involved. So if you drop us a message on D8 Dungeon over on Twitter, or you can email us d8dungeon@gmail.com, or you can pop over to the Discord server. You can ping myself or Amber there, and we can hopefully more people want to get on board. There are 9 different games running over the weekend, as well as a PvP tournament, and there are some amazing folks giving up their time on Friday to participate in the PvP tournament, and that's, I hope it's going to be a blast. I'm DMing it, and combat is my I like combat when it's dramatic, so I'm planning on making the tournament dramatic. But we are looking for people to sign up for those games. They're still open now. We will be filling those spaces very, very soon. So I would strongly encourage you to get your application in as soon as possible, if you haven't already done so. So that is D8 Dungeon Drive. It's taking place the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th of August. And our actual donation link is already active. It's there in the chat. And it is, like I said, it's all going to the Palestine Children's Relief Fund this year. So it's going to be a blast. Hi Ben, I hope you're enjoying your time off. You'll notice that the decor has slightly changed in the background. There's been some it's a bit more it's a bit airier around the Ben and Declan On A Roll offices for tonight's show. But I want to also very, very quickly mention, if you haven't listened, then you've got less than 24 hours. But season 3 of Romancing the Dungeon starts tomorrow morning. So we're starting with a bit of a recap, which I think is fitting for the fact that this is the Anime Beach episode. And I want to dive into the topic as quickly as I can. But tomorrow on all podcast platforms and over on YouTube and everything, that episode drops. And it's sort of a prelude to what's to come. Enough of that. Enough of all the other hijinks and stuff. Let's start talking about the Anime Beach episode. And I want to talk about the title first. If you don't watch anime, or you don't watch much anime, particularly the big ones, those long running series, Naruto, Bleach, One Piece, Hunter Cross Hunter. I know it's not Hunter X Hunter. I just, whatever the X means, Hunter Cross Hunter. But they all it's that moment in the series where it's all building up, it's all going towards a big encounter or the height of the story, only for them to then suddenly, the next episode the following week, cut to the gang at a beach and there's some ridiculous nonsense happening, and that's kind of the inspiration for tonight's episode, because Ben's not here. He's in chat, but he's not here. So what do you do in your games when the players want to take a break, or they deviate from the campaign, or they just get sort of sidetracked, whatever, and it can happen for a couple of different reasons. Like there's no actual there's nothing wrong with the beach episode. I think kind of in TTRPGs, particularly in D&D, it's often known as like the shopping session. It's kind of where the group are kind of getting ready to head out on the next adventure, or arming themselves to the teeth for the next like boss encounter or whatever, the BBG encounter. So that shopping episode is often kind of the quote unquote Anime Beach episode, where the players are slightly distracted and are just doing kind of fun and stuff that may not have any major impact on that main storyline. So I earlier on today, I was setting out to do a task. I had a couple of jobs to do around the house, and one of them was go out and water some of my houseplants. Just go out and kind of give them some feed and stuff like that. And it was out of the corner of my eye, I spotted the power washer, and I went, "Oh, that looks way more fun. I'm gonna go play with the power washer. I mean, I know I have to do this thing over here, and it has to get done, but there's a power washer, and that looks like a hell of a lot of fun to play with." So cue 4 hours of power washing my entire backyard, and that's kind of where this whole idea of doing these side quests and these other things came into mind. And it has nothing to do with the fact that I'm very easily distracted, and that I cannot multitask, but it is that thing when you are, and I can speak from the DM's point of view and the player's point of view here. It's that thing, particularly from the Dungeon Master's point of view, that the sudden break from we're on the road to do the thing, and oh no, the gang have stopped in a field because they've found a multicolored sheep, and now they want to make outfits out of its fleece. I don't know. Suddenly it is that sudden sort of, oh, they've just gone that way, and we're not even talking about, oh, we've railroading or deviating from. We are literally talking about the group just kind of going that way, and uh, how do you plan for that? How do you prepare for that? How do you make those sessions fun and engaging? And there's if you watched if you watch us here on Twitch for Beyond Horizon's Edge, or random DMs and stuff, that you'll pick up on the fact that I'm quite happy to pull something out of a hat and like throw it at the players to see where we kind of go. Or if you listen to the Romancing the Dungeon, you'll know that there's a good deal of that where it has just gone completely off the rails, and I'm using everything I can to try and stop it from crashing off the side of the cliff. But that makes it sound like it's terrible. It's not. It's a lot of fun. But what can we do as the DM, as the storyteller, as the GM, to make those sessions as fun for the players as they are fun for us? And that's kind of what I want to address first. Oh no, I tell you what, I was going to do some kind of show and tell stuff, and I think maybe I'll start there first, because they're kind of maybe 3 examples of things I have done when it comes to these side quests or the Anime Beach episode. What you can do. And the first one I'm going to bring up is actually a very recent example. It's only from about 2 or 3 weeks ago, maybe a month ago. And look, it's like Ben. It's like Ben's here. It's like he's with us, other than chat, but it's like he's in the room. This is a screen grab from an episode, not the last episode, 2 weeks, the episode before Monday, where I was away and I really didn't want to take a break in the stream. And I discussed it with Emma, Kat, Eilish, and Richard about maybe me not. Yes, everyone, I don't care anymore. Yeah, I don't think that quote came from you, Ben. That doesn't strike me as a Ben quote. I can see kind of like the mischievous grin on Emma's face, so I think it might have been an Emma quote. I don't know. If it was you, I'd love to know what they did. Actually, I have a feeling I know what they did to drive you to that point, and it may be 4-legged and upholstered. But so what do we do when? What did we do? Well, I reached out to Ben and said, "Hey, Ben, I'm going to be away for the next episode. I don't want to take a pause in the story. The guys don't want to take a pause in the story. I have an idea, and I was wondering if you might take over as the DM for a session to help set up what I'm going to do when I come back." So while excuse me, while it's not a full sort of side quest, it was a deviation from the main story. So in this particular storyline at the moment, the heroes from the guild, the heroes that the players are playing, have learned of a fog that has permeated throughout the village, and villagers are going missing. And I knew this was going to be the setup for the next thing that I was going to do. So I reached out to Ben and I had said, "Hey, look, I'm going to be away. This is what's going to happen when I come back. Would you mind, or would you be interested in playing the DM for a session where the 4 players actually take on NPCs or characters of their own from the village that are going to investigate the fog before their actual characters go into it?" So it was a prelude to the story, to that they are actually going to be engaging with in 2 weeks' time. So it's a way of kind of getting them kind of invested. It's a way of kind of going, "Hey, look, this is a thing that's happening, and you are actually playing it," and hopefully then it keeps them invested. It is that thing of, this thing has happened, let's figure out what's causing it, let's figure out what's happening. And how do you do that for your own game. So whether you're streaming or not, there's a really useful thing to take from this, and that is, if the party are going to deviate, or in our circumstances, if someone's going to be missing from a session, what can you do instead? Everybody still wants to play. Everybody wants to get together. Maybe your team doesn't like going into limbo. Maybe you're at a crucial arc or event. Why not hand it over to the players? Why not hand it over to one of them to say, hey, look, we're all here. We're all ready to play. We're all ready to keep this going. Any chance one of you wants to take over and look at that story from a different point of view, or tell something else? So it's somebody else takes on the mantle for that session of the DM. And again, plenty of other things that you can do. Maybe you don't want to play your current campaign. Maybe you want to pick up a one-shot and play a one-shot. Do that. It doesn't have to be necessarily connected. But if you want to stay in that world and you want to stay in that sort of time, that space that everybody knows and everybody's comfortable playing in, then maybe one of your players around the table wants to have a go at DMing. And whether it's canon or not, it can be a great way of letting them kind of get their own hands mucky in the world and kind of put a little bit more of their spin on it. And you might come back to find out that one of your players was possibly playing maybe an armchair or a dwarf. It was a mystery throughout that entire episode, which I think maybe that's what Ben's quote is in relation to, if that is Ben's quote. But it gives them a chance to experience that world from another point of view, another perspective. And it doesn't always have to be a sort of a sandwich in thing between what's currently happening and what's going to happen. Maybe we go back to a village that we were already at. Maybe you take an established story or established adventure from another creator, and they pepper that into the world. There's lots of different ways this technique can be used, this little trick and tip can be used. And it's kind of got me, this is kind of to do with tonight's kind of prompt. And do you think shopping episodes are important, or shopping sessions? And I not necessarily from the point of view of, well, yeah, it's important because, we need to get loads of equipment to go beat up the bad guys. But those sessions where it's role played, I guess I'm kind of talking about, whether you want to call it the shopping session or the Anime Beach episode or a side quest. Do you think they're important? Whether that's you as a player, you as a DM, do you see value in these sort of side quests? This example from Beyond Horizon's Edge was a great way of setting up what their main campaign characters were going to be dealing with. So it can be a really, really useful way of just showing them it from some other character's perspective, showing them the world from another person's viewpoint. And in doing that, so let's say, for argument's sake, your party are about to take on the BBEG, and it turns out in the next session, 2 weeks from time, turns out one of your players can't make it. So what do we do? Okay, well, I guess we just don't play. I guess we don't just get going. Hey, Telepathic Norwal and Asilis, hope you're both good. Hope you were having a nice evening, if that's the time zone that you're in. If you're just joining us, I'm talking about side quests. I'm talking about the Anime Beach episodes. I'm talking about shopping sessions. Those sessions in your campaigns, your games, where maybe you're not following the main campaign anymore. Maybe you're not following the main story anymore. And I'm just giving that example of what happens if a player is missing from the table and the group can't progress without them because it's, we're coming towards something big. Well, it could be a way of establishing just how powerful the BBEG is. Maybe there was another group who took on the BBEG many years ago, and failed, or we go back to another town or city, and we have the players interact with another NPC that they'd encountered with before, but this time from another angle. So there are all these interesting ways that you can, if a player is missing, or the session can't run as normal, heck, maybe even you as the DM aren't ready. I know when it comes to those big sessions, when it comes to the big boss battles or that big moment, that it can be very daunting. It can be very intimidating to try and, you want to get it right. You want to get it perfect. So the work that goes into that can be immense. So how do we then, how do we prepare for that and make sure it's right? Well, we can take a bit of time off and we can run these little one shots. We can do these little side quests. We can do these little, continuances that aren't the main campaign. Another thing that I am kind of, it's something I love doing, and I really, it's always kind of a fun little challenge to kind of go at. But I'm a big lover of, and I've mentioned this a couple of times actually in on stream, where the party are now going to have to, they're in a town and there's a festival. There's something else happening. There's an event happening, and whether I haven't thrown a festival at the Beyond Horizons Edge guys, but I've thrown plenty of these silly little escapades at the Romancing the Dungeon team, and even for games that I don't run for streaming or for broadcast. I'm a huge fan of trying to immerse the players, their characters, in that space. And oftentimes it's one of those things where the party enters a village or they enter a town and there's a festival happening, and it's like, well, we'll go to the tavern and we'll go have some food and we'll have some drink and we'll listen to the bards play, or we'll listen to whatever, and that's fine, that's great, that's wonderful, that's a load of fun. But at any of these kind of fairs or fetes, and being from Ireland, I'm kind of, my childhood, not that my childhood was every weekend off to the medieval fair, but painting a really wonderful picture of Irish culture. But any sort of local town fair would have these little stalls, and it's something that I've always kind of been like, well, actually, there's all these stalls, and yeah, there's a guy selling armor if you want armor. There's someone selling spell scrolls if you want to get your hands on spell scrolls. There's all those things, but there's actually also a truck ton of festival games, and I'm a sucker for throwing festival games at the party, and they make for a lot of fun. And I want to maybe share, I think I have it set up to do this properly. Bendim, yeah, that should be right. Yeah. So you're looking, if you can see my screen now, you're looking at some of my notes for, this is from a game I ran a couple of years ago. And I've actually taken this and I've used it in a couple of other things afterwards. But it's set in a small little town called Ahanish. And effectively, there is a festival taking place, just simply called the Harvest Festival. And it's a thing tied to a goddess that is celebrated on this island. And as much as the festival is about that, really it's also about just the townsfolk getting together, having a load of fun, and getting to celebrate it. Now, I want to, and I was like, maybe I can just hide this and not show it. But you'll see here, there are games and contests taking place all around the town. Finding a game requires a roll of a d20. If you roll 15 or higher, you get to pick a game. If you roll less than a 15, roll a d5. And on that d5, then again, we were just using a Google roller, but I had said, oh, well, you'll just randomly stumble into that stall. Like you'll actually like just as you're traversing, that's where you end up. Whereas if you rolled over a 15, you get to pick a game from a list. And I would tell you what you have, and you can just go there. And if you rolled a nat 20, you would have for 2 games. I guess I gave you the option of like you can go play these 2 games if you wanted, being that you didn't get lost in the crowd and you didn't get tied up. I don't know if I would ever use that again. Like I oftentimes now I think, and actually no, I tell you, like I have used this in Beyond Horizon's Edge. There was a town fair in a local farm, and I just had a signpost, and on the signpost it was this is here, this is here, this is here, and I let the players kind of wander off and decide what they wanted to do. If you wanted to use it based on a role mechanic, something like that kind of works, I guess. But the crux of that then was they could find something they liked if they rolled well enough, because not all the characters were built to do all these different kinds of fair games. So starts with, and like I built my it's quite straightforward. I built my actual games out of stuff that actually happens, and then just simply translating that over to, well, what on the character sheet works best? What matches this? So for something like the caber toss, and if you're not familiar with the caber toss, it is just a game where people take effectively large logs and they throw them as far as they can. A simple strength check was all that was required. But if a character was proficient in athletics, specifically proficient in athletics, they could use that as their roll. So they could make an athletics check. There was a cost to enter because these things don't come cheap. So it's 50 copper pieces to enter. The prize was 1 gold piece. And then if you actually won it, you would be entered into the tournament tombola, which was another thing that was kind of tied to a story angle that I was working. You'll see then that there is a competitors list. So some NPCs that are also taking part in the actual game. So ideal if there are 1 or 2 members of your party going to engage in the caber toss. So now they're not just against each other, they're actually against 3 NPCs. So you've Old Dinkler, who's a cobbler, he's dwarf and male, Arnie Shaw, a butcher, human male, and then Reva Harter, the harbour master, and she's dragonborn and female. And then a -1 to a roll, a +2 to a roll, and a +3 to a roll. So Reva there is your real kind of big contender. Now my party were at the time level 1, I believe. So Reva was the big sort of challenge there. And obviously it comes down to the dice rolls as well. So I would roll the dice for Dinkler, Arnie, and Reva, and then the players would engage. And then a player or an NPC is eliminated each round based on how far it was thrown. So off of I just went with simple dice rolls. So whoever rolled lowest on the dice, their caber was thrown, wasn't thrown the furthest, so they were eliminated. And it's simple. It's very, very straightforward. It's very easy, and it actually, like, you can spend a bit of time with this. You can actually spend a bit of time with the players, kind of going through this. A pie eating contest. Now, I have done this in many, many different variations, and at the time, for this one, rolls were kind of insane. But pie eating contest, and it's going to be a Constitution saving throw. And it's a silver piece to enter. That's to cover the cost of all the pies that are going to be eaten. Prize is a gold piece again. And again, whoever wins is entered into the tournament tombola. You'll see that Old Dinkler is a sucker for the town festival, so he's back. And he's also going to enter the pie eating contest. You've Beth Cooperfield, a housewife, half orc and female, +3 to roll, and she's the champion. So she won last year. And then Willie Whittlefoot, a merchant halfling male, who only had a +1 to the roll. And effectively, the DC would increase every round. So the players had to meet or beat that DC check as it began to increase. And at the time, if I remember correctly, one of the players was a herbalist, and with some very, very sneaky rolls, managed to tamper with Beth Cooperfield's pies, and ended up kind of like just giving Beth a little bit of food poisoning by slipping in some not so nice berries into the pies that she was eating. There are loads of variations on this that you can run with, and I've even thought about maybe doing it as the amount of pies, not just necessarily how long you last with saving throws, but that constitution. You could even take it as a survival check if you wanted. Like if you're gorging yourself, how long can you keep going with filling your belly full of pie crust and filling? So again, constitution, one of my favorites, and I've used the catch the pig contest a good few times. Again, dexterity, I would allow, again, athletics or acrobatics if somebody wanted to kind of twist my arm. Old Dinkler's back, cheap prize, it's only 25 copper pieces to enter, cheap entry cost, prize is gold piece. And you'll see that there's quite a few people entering this one. And I ran this very, very recently at D&D in a castle, organized by D&D Era, where, again, everybody was gathering round for a festival, and I came up with, I took some of these games that I had already established and used, and I added the complication of it was a greasy pig. So it was actually quite a difficult thing to do. And the players who took part in it actually decided to work together. If it serves my memory correctly, only one of my players at the time entered this when I ran it the first time, and she happened to be the druid. And she took the time before the match to chat with the pig, and kind of promised to set the pig free. That if the pig basically just trotted over to her, she'd win the pig as part of the prize, and she would set the pig free. So they worked out a deal, and I gave some of the NPCs a chance to roll to see if they'd grab it. They didn't. Pig ran over. Job done. It sounds really like, oh, that was a waste of all your time and energy. Nope, not at all. Not even in the slightest. This was a chance for the player to kind of flex a little bit of who their character is, what they're about, all while having fun. Then there came a daunting realization for that player later on when they released the pig into the woods, and about a day later realized that, hang on a second, wild animals live in the woods. This is a simple farm little pig. He's probably going to get eaten by wolves or something else. These things have a way of making a lasting impression on your party if you want. There was a Riddler contest, and nobody ended up doing this, and I wonder how well this would work. But effectively, I was going for wisdom checks on this, and then actually I was going to throw riddles at the player or players, and for every riddle they got right, I was going to add to their check. So as they were answering riddles, they were going to gain bonuses. So I don't know how necessarily well that mechanic would work out. It's one of those things, I think, when it sounds interesting, it sounds fun, it may not translate as well over to the table. The performer circle is very, very straightforward. If there's a bard or somebody in the party who likes to entertain, then a performance check or a charisma check is a great way. Free to enter because it's entertaining the crowd. Prize is the largest prize, 5 gold pieces. And then again, Old Dinkler is back and he's going to play the Hambones, -1 to the roll. And then as a slight nod to some of the other worlds that I created and bits and pieces, Nathaniel Obsidian McKnight, who is one of our player characters in Romancing the Dungeon, and his arch rivals, the rock band Forever Rock, and our Corcoran rock band, were going to take the stage as well. And there was effectively this whole session was built for me for a story. So the players, none of their characters had actually interacted with each other until they ended up going to some of the same games. And suddenly they were seeing, oh, you cheated, oh, you did this, oh, you did that. And now there were little things that they've all done together before, without them actually having realized it. So it makes for those kind of really, it's a fun way to kind of get an adventure going. But these also work mid-campaign. These work really, really well for those episodes where the party now want to go shopping. They now want to go visit that small little town. You don't have anything prepared. Well, actually, you do, because now that town is having a festival. And if you've listened to Romancing the Dungeon, you'll know that about halfway through season 2, I threw the party into Nice Fest, a winter themed festival in a small little town. And I took some of these. I wrote some brand new ones, and I kind of just threw the party at it and said, "The town is yours. You go where you want to go." And that was a chance for them to kind of explore, unwind, and kind of not have to think about what they were going to do next. And there was a little bit of these games. There was one of my favorite things to do, and I will throw this out for free. One of my favorite things to do is throw a fortune teller at the party. There's nothing as fun as having a character, an NPC, throw some random reading at them and let them work it into something else. So I have started using kind of fortune tellers, and I've used tea leaf readers, I've used tarot card readers, all to kind of divine these prophecies for the characters. Some for fun, some as like little nods to, this is a thing you're kind of ignoring that you might want to direct at. So what is downtime, what is a little side episode, can now be this thing where you can kind of point them to something. You can kind of use these, like this fortune teller, for example, as a thing to kind of go, well, actually, there's this thing in your past that's kind of, resurfacing, and you're heading in the right direction for it, but you need to do X, Y, and Z, or whatever it might be. And I've done that. I've done that with roles, and then where characters, and I've even used a tarot deck and done a reading based on what that might mean for the players, and then have them kind of take that reading, apply it to their character, and kind of go, okay, that makes sense for this, but I don't quite understand what that might be. So these things make for a great, a lot of fun around the table. And it does beat that, like, oh, I'm just going to go get 5 arrows, and I'm going to get a new bow, and I'm going to get 2 potions. Okay, great. I'll just write that down, and away we go. So having these little things peppered in, that it is a festival, and there are shops, and you can go and get these things. Fun, great crack. This stuff then just sort of, again, I've said this a couple of times on the show. I'm a big fan of immersing the characters in the world. This is a great way of doing that. Down to, and here's another tip. Have the other players play the stall owners. So again, if you've listened to those, you'll know that I didn't voice all of the the fair game operators. I wasn't all the merchants. One of the events that the party could participate in was an ice sculpting contest, and Amber played the judge, a local craftswoman who was there to kind of like offer a little bit of help, but was ultimately going to be judging the various sculptures at the end of the event. And just I for the team who played these characters, I just gave a handful of notes. I just gave like maybe 3 or 4 things written on a sheet to say, these are the things that you know, these are the things that you can do, this is this is the name of your character, make them your own and have fun with it. And in that particular run, Amber absolutely blew it out of the water as the ice sculpting judge, especially when Ivan, Sam, who plays Ivan, used Shatter to blow up all the other sculptures, and was purely by default the winner in a children's ice sculpting contest. And Amber's character constantly like having these like outbursts of shrieks as each sculpture blew up, just peppered in wonderfully. And on the flip of that, then Eilish played our fortune teller, and this absolutely apathetic, slightly emo tabaxi tarot card reader, just delivering these readings. And we were drawing the cards at random, and as Eilish was drawing the cards, I was giving her the explanation, and then kind of like, this is what it means, but you can make of it what you want. You can throw what you want at the player, and we'll go from there. And it's a great way of, well, taking some of the work off of you as the DM, but also just, again, making that feel more collaborative, making that feel more engaging, I think, for everybody involved. So I have, over the last couple of years, I've amassed quite a few of these. If anybody watching is interested and wants these or wants to pick these up, just shoot me a message. I'm happy to share these. These are not, and by no means these are not perfect. There's loads of other these out there. I also used I don't have it at hand. It's probably somewhere in one of the other units of board games. I mentioned the D&D in a Castle from D&D era. One of the other games I came up was the Tower of Terror, and that was using Jenga blocks. I literally had the party play against another group who were at the same event and compete for prizes. So, like, how do you then, like, playing Jenga at the table? That's kind of odd. That's kind of weird. That could be kind of boring. Well, it's not just Jenga, because this is a fantasy. Some of these blocks are enchanted, and on, I think, 6 of the bricks, they were runes. And when a player drew that brick, they could take the enchantment. So we built the tower. The 6 blocks were hidden within it. And then as players drew them, and they were kind of support bricks that would help them in ways. They were attack bricks that they could use to jeopardize the other party. And it really, I didn't think it would go down as well as it did, but it was a lot of fun, and it got really competitive. So taking things like if you are kind of running kind of low on energy, you're running low on ideas, taking things from what you know and bringing those to the table, a great way of kind of managing your time and managing this. Outside of that, then, so let's say you're not doing you're not going to have someone else DM because you don't want to sideline it totally. Let's say the party are going to divert and the group aren't really into this. Where do you come up with all of these shops? Where do you come up with all of these things? And my go-to, and I will put the link in the Discord afterwards, actually, but I keep a document at hand for the actual shops and items and bits and pieces, and that might be very difficult to read on the screen. Let me see if I can just zoom in a little bit. But you can see that like the shops are broken down into a blacksmith, a fletcher, a leather worker, temple and faith supplies, general store, adventuring supplies, all these kinds of things that your characters might want to pick up. Really, really useful in those moments where the party are looking to resupply. Because I don't know if there's any other DMs in chat, but there's always that fear in my mind when the party asks, how much is this? How much is a new bow? How much is a new sword? And the frantic Googling, the frantic panic of, I don't know. And then suddenly the game stops, you're halted, and away we kind of go with it. So something I've started taking on board is this, and this is actually a collaborative document created by some Reddit users. So I will pop that link into the D8 Dungeon Discord for anybody that might need it or want one. It does take a lot of the heartache out of this. And you might go, well, do I have to have all these shops? Do I have to have all of these things with me on the go? Nope, you don't. You really, really don't. Not every town the party are going to go in is going to have all of these things. So I would often have, maybe there's a blacksmith and there's a general store. And actually there's a guy who works in the general store who happens to be a fletcher. So that's what you've got. This isn't a big city. There isn't any temples nearby. There's nobody here that can do a lot of magic stuff. Sorry about it. But maybe there's a traveling merchant who has kind of picked up bits and pieces. So I tend to take lots of things from this, and rather than having one store that does one thing, you'll often find that they'll actually have a bunch of these things that you might be able to pick up. I personally find that a good deal easier than just trying to manage all of this. And the handy thing with this is there's actually like the prices are set out, and they even kind of give ideas as to where you might find these things. So for example, if the party were looking to pick up some what's here? Trying to find something that might be not as obviously. Yeah. Weirdly enough, but we'll go with it. A drum. Let's say a member of the party, the bard, needs a new drum. It got damaged, it got ruined, it got stolen. Well, in all likelihood, that drum may not be available out in the middle of nowhere. It may not be available as widely in a small rural village or hamlet. So they're going to have to go to a much larger town or a city space to try and get their hands on that, if that's what the party are looking for. So it does have all of that kind of laid out. Now, I have a tendency to kind of like, if the party is looking for the drum, well, there's a drum over there. Like, it's fine, don't worry. But maybe you as the DM, maybe you're running a more a tighter ship when it comes to ammunition, when it comes to your stores, when it comes to what the characters are actually going to be doing, going to be engaging with. So I don't. There's no one way to use this. It's one of those things that I've come across and I find really, really useful in a pinch, especially when it comes to the cost of things. So like, if the party need to go out and buy some fine clothes, oh, okay. Well, the average cost of fine clothes is 15 gold pieces. But maybe they're looking for a deal. He'll do it for 11. Maybe they're really well made and they're like top of the line. They're more expensive, so they're going to cost 23. So it breaks that down for you into the average cost or the normal cost, the regular cost for it, what they might do if they got a deal on it, and then what's it going to be if it's more expensive. So again, really, really useful. Likewise, then with the likes of limited stock, they're not going to have 100 of these things lying around. That there are limited amounts, and if it's limited stock, like personally, that's where I'd be coming up with a dice roll. Like if it's a small little rural space, it's a D6. If it's urban space, it's a D10 plus. And then if it's a city, I'm not even going. There's going to be a couple of places to get these things. So I would be kind of letting the players know, especially if you want to run one of those more kind of stricter campaigns, those stricter stories where they are doing the shopping side of things, that they can't go out and buy 5 of these because the guy doesn't have them. The shopkeeper, she doesn't have these things. They don't have it at hand. It's just not available to them. So there are these things that you can play with when it comes to this. So again, much like the festival games, if this is something you need for a campaign or a story, your own stream or your own games at home, I will pop the link to this in the D8 Dungeon Discord this evening, so you can pick it up there. I guess I wanted to. I kind of wanted to look at the merits of these. So, like I've talked about kind of the 3 things that I have found kind of that works for me. So if the party want to go off script, if they want to go off the road, and take a break from the main campaign, there is that option of, like we did to the very first one, with Ben jumping into the hot seat for me, literally having them have somebody else take over as DM. Let them have a go at doing something different. Let them have a go at telling the story from another angle, another perspective. Maybe they're going to jump in and do something entirely different. It is a great way, particularly I have found, if there's somebody missing. So if a player or players can't make the session, but everybody else wants to get together to still play, see if anybody else wants to play in that world. Maybe you're not comfortable handing over the reins, so you come up with something else that they could do. That's an option for every game. I'll DM the hell out of any of your games. Thanks, Ben. It is a load of fun. I would really, really love. I'm going to make more a point of doing this. I think, not making Ben do all my Declan absenteeisms, but maybe saying it to the party, to the group, to say, hey, look, I'm not going to be around. Will somebody else take over and do something else in that space? I have talked to the party before where what happens if one of us is missing. Well, my plan is, if we're at a pivotal moment, pause, and we're going to go back in time, and we're going to do a side quest. We're going to do something else in that moment, and that gives us a better look at the characters, gives us a better look at their relationships, and kind of why they are the way they are. It can also make for fun, sort of like canon establishing moments as well. So there are benefits to those times when we don't get to keep going with the main story. We have to take a diversion. So big fan of doing this personally. And then if this isn't something you would naturally engage with, and the team have just said, hey, look, we just want a break. We've been traipsing from kingdom to kingdom. We've been on the hunt for this thing. And we kind of feel like our characters need a bit of town time. They need a bit of a break. Maybe it is the beach episode stuff, because you are between campaigns. The party, or you're between adventures. The party have wrapped up and they've done what they needed to do. Everybody still wants to get together. Everybody still wants to play. Well, maybe that's where one of them takes over as the DM and they run a small little session for everybody. If they don't want to do that and they want to play as their characters and you don't want to give over the reins, well, that's when those little moments of, you're at this town, you're taking a break, and this is all happening in front of you. You have a chance to go explore, go play, and kind of, I guess, feel out your characters a little bit. Kind of get a sense of how are they going to interact with all of this. Are they going to shy away from it, hold themselves up in the tavern with a book, or are they going to throw themselves headfirst into the festival and try and engage it? And it can just be that simple sort of the gang go to a lakeside, the gang go to the beach, and there's a beach festival, there's whatever taking place, and their big event is a race around the lake, or it's a boat race out to an island to capture a flag and bring it back, whatever it might be. And here's the best part: let them use their own initiative as players to come up with their tactics. It doesn't have to be as formulaic as you saw with my carnival games. It can be something as simple as, well, actually, they're going to do their own thing. They're going to actually, they've got a boat. They know where they have to go. Well, what are they going to do? You don't have to come up with a full system like this. All you have to do is come up with the opposing team or teams, and maybe throw a handful of obstacles. So let them then come up with, well, who's on the... Why did I pick boating? It's not like I've got like all the boating terminology in the world, but like who's manning the sails? Who's rowing? Who? I don't look. I'm out of my depth. Okay, that's why you don't see any boating competitions on this. Who knows? I might take it on as a personal challenge, but let them come up with their own plan. Let them come up with how they're going to win the festival, and just run with it. And if it backfires, it backfires. And if they win, they win. And even better, it is that thing of. There is kind of no wrong way for them to win this, because this is just something that we're doing on our downtime. This is something we're doing, surplus to the main campaign that we can just take a break from. And there's nothing wrong. I asked, like, in the my prompt was like, do you think they're important? And personally speaking, I really enjoy these downtime episodes. I really, really like giving the party moments to not have to worry about, oh, we have to track down the robbers, oh, we have to save such and such, oh, we have to retrieve such and such or deliver such and such. Like, in that moment, particularly Romance in London is a good example for me to give. The party are traveling across the kingdom, and they're traveling the King's Road, and that means there's going to be all these towns along the way. Why wouldn't we stop? Like, why wouldn't we engage with the locals and the villagers and the towns and have these things come up? There's an awful lot to be said for those things, and I really, because we could have just done, okay, you're in Tezrab, you have to go to Galeshire. All right, let's fast forward, and we're just going to, yeah, you're there, okay, and the adventure can, and I don't know, maybe anybody watching this afterwards or who listens to the show is like, yeah, that's what you should have done. Nobody needed, to go off and fight a vampire count. Nobody needed to come across Ganassi kids in the woods having their own version of Christmas. You don't need that. Every player, everybody's going to take something differently from these things. They're not everybody's cup of tea. They are mine, and I really, really enjoy them. And that's why I think those beach episodes, as much as I know they are often kind of seen as like they're kind of, because it's just filler. They're the filler episodes, and that filler is often kind of looked down on or kind of dismissed. I love a good filler episode because it's always a chance to see a little bit more about how the characters operate or interact. And I just, like, I don't see why the group wouldn't engage with them from time to time, purely out of a sense of, well, let's just get a hang on our characters. Let's just enjoy playing this without the worry of X, Y, or Z. And there's no reason why. And this is the other thing, and I used it, and I have used it in a big way in my games before. These little downtime episodes are a great way of bringing in hooks, those things to get the party's attention, because while they're downtime, while they're shopping, while they're things, maybe they're in a new city, and maybe their paths unknowingly are crossing with pickpockets who are members of a thieves guild, and they're pickpocketed, and now suddenly they're embroiled with this gang, and so on and so forth. There are all these ways to take those downtime things and diversions and sidetracks and side quests, and I love when the gang get focused on one thing, and it has nothing to do with what I had planned or thought I was going to use, and then all of a sudden it's all they care about. It's the flicky in my universe, and what do we do? What do we do with that? What do we do with that creature that the gang or in our case the audience have fallen in love with? What do we do with that? And in my case, I just kill it, and then we bring it back, and then we have its own mini adventure later on. But these little moments, one, make for great memories for your players. Like, it is those things that they will talk about. They're not going to just, oh yeah, that happened. Yeah, Grant. They can be very memorable moments, and they can be really useful for character development moments. But they can also serve a narrative purpose. And I know typically in anime, the beach episode happens and then it's ignored. Like, it's just completely ignored. That, like, oh, we went off and did this thing and I unlocked a new power. I am never going to use that power because it was a beach episode based power or a beach episode based technique or whatever. I'm never going to use that again. It has no bearing on the rest of the story. I know that can happen. But in your campaign, the beach episode, the side quest, can be a great way to just get the party on the hook for the next step. Bring something that you are working on to them at some point in that. It doesn't have to be big. For me, it's the fortune teller. It's that little bit of a reading. It's that little bit of a nod to there's something afoot, or there's something you've forgotten. You should go and check this out. You should go and look at this. These are why I think anime beach episodes or side quests or shopping sessions, whatever you want to call them, that's why I think they're important. It's why I think they make for a really fun time around the table, whether it's streamed or it's recorded or it's just you and your friends getting together and hanging out. So I really wouldn't overlook them. And again, like everything, it's going to come with, let's have a chat about it, let's plan it out, and let's go from there then. Let's figure that out as we're doing it. That's kind of, I mean, I've been talking for nearly 70 minutes about the side quests and the beach episodes. I really hope that was, and if you're watching the VOD, maybe useful in some way. If you have any questions, you can always ask in chat. You can leave them on the comment section over on the Homebrew Quest YouTube, or you can reach out to me on Twitter or over on our Discord. I'll make sure to pop in the link to that list of shops over on the Discord channel as well. And if you're like, maybe you want to try out the fair games, I'm happy to hand over those bits and pieces as well. If you want to keep an eye on those or use those in some way, you can always just drop me a message and ask. Before I wrap up and I let you go, I do very quickly want to just flag, I mentioned it at the top of the show, but I'm going to just flag it again. We are in the middle of organizing our charity stream, D8 Dungeon Drive. It is our annual charity stream. We're in our 4th year, and it is a weekend-long event where DMs and players from all over the world come together and we raise money for charity. Now, we take part and we organize charity streams throughout the year, but this is our big one. This is 2 and a bit days where some fantastic dungeon masters and game masters and storytellers, accompanied by players, really go all out to push for our chosen charity. And this year we are looking to raise funds for the Palestine Children's Relief Fund, the PCRF. Our Tiltify campaign is up and running. I've just popped it into chat there as well. The Dungeon Drive, D8 Dungeon Drive, takes place August 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. So at the end of July, at the beginning of August, that first weekend in August. And that's for anyone in Ireland, that is a bank holiday weekend. So a lot of the Irish DMs and stuff are giving over that bank holiday weekend to help out with this, and a lot of the D8 Dungeon team give up that weekend to really push this and make this a big thing. On the Friday night, we are organizing a charity PvP tournament with players from all over the world bringing their characters to the front, and over the next couple of days and weeks you'll see their battle cards or their fighter cards on social media, because not only are we going to be having their characters fight each other, you get to be involved and you get to sponsor their characters. So through your donations you can sponsor a character and boost them ahead of the tournament. So from new equipment to extra spell slots, maybe some bonuses to their initiative or skills, there's loads of ways that you can get involved and you can get behind your favorite characters, because a lot of our players that are entering the PvP tournament are coming from the actual play community and the TTRPG community here online, and they're putting forward their characters to represent their show. The winning character, the winning player, gets bragging rights for the year, so they get to carry the sash and the honor of being the first ever D8 Dungeon Mania champion. So there's a lot at stake, but more importantly, there's a great initiative to raise money for the PCRF. That event, like I said, takes place 2nd, 3rd, and 4th of August. Player applications are currently open. So we are in the middle of recruiting for the 9 different games. Outside of the PvP tournament, there are 9 different games taking place Saturday and Sunday. So there's all of the information you'll find over on our social media, but you can also check out the link in our Discord for the application there. There's a full brief on the 9 games, the DMs that are running them. There's a blurb and prologue. There's only one game of 5e operating over the 9 days. The other 8 are all completely different systems. So there's a chance here to, if you don't play 5e, play 5e. But if you do and you want to try out something else, there's 8 other games up for grabs with these amazing systems. So all of the money raised is going directly to the Palestine Children's Relief Fund. And over the course of the weekend, we're very, very lucky and very, very honored to work with some amazing TTRPG creators who donate some amazing prizes every year. And this year it's insane what's up for grabs. And over the course of the fundraiser, as you're watching, you can enter the raffles and you can win a prize just by watching the streams. So all of that's taking place first weekend in August. This has been Ben and Declan, but just Declan, on a roll about the Anime Beach episodes and side quests. I've had an absolute blast this evening. I'm looking forward to Ben coming back. Our next episode, Amber is going to be joining me as we talk about D8 Dungeon Drive, and we're going to be talking about organizing a charity stream and fundraiser and how you can use your platform to support amazing causes and organizations around the world. And we're hopefully going to hear from some of the DMs that are taking part in D8 Dungeon Drive this year. Okay, that's all the time I have this evening. Even when Ben's not here, I managed to go over time. So I've gone over time. I will shut up. I will leave it there. Thank you so much for watching along this evening. And like I said, all the links to the things I talked about this evening will be over on that Discord. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your Thursday evening. And I hope you're looking forward to the weekend. It's well deserved. Mind yourself. And Homebrew. Ben, I can't wait to... Can't finish that sentence. I can't wait till you're back either. I can't wait to catch up and find out all about your adventure. So until 2 weeks time, this has been just Declan on a roll, and tomorrow new episode of Romance the Dungeon. And yeah, okay, bye. This is really weird. It's really hard to end this without Ben. Who am I talking to? There's nobody over there. I'm out. Peace.